Department of Justice and NIJ, the National Institute of Justice. They recently had done a 5-year study into this technology, and their findings are that there is nothing conclusive that would lead a department not to deploy CEDs, conducted entry devices, for their officers. So I'll lead you that, if you can check into that. We currently are about 17,000 agencies that we're deployed with in the country, and there's a PowerPoint. I'm not sure if it's necessary to put it up on the screen for you.
How many agencies?
16,900. There's about 18,000 agencies in the country. So when you talk about market leader, yes, we are the market leader. The problem for the other manufacturers we refer to is similar as Ford goes out and does its crash tests. That doesn't mean that Chevy gets to take Ford's crash tests. They have to do their own. They have yet to do those type of studies. So keep that in mind as you look at that. It's worthwhile for you to dive deeper into. That's up. There you go. So we're in about 107 different countries. I think it's important for this committee to understand that we're in the United Kingdom, we're in France, areas where they do not deploy firearms with their officers. In the UK, they deploy tasers. So we are an international company. We are deployed in multiple different countries around the world. As Commander Ali had mentioned, there's a 70% reduction in officer injury rates. The PERF Executive Research Forum is a think tank for law enforcement, looking at all different aspects of law enforcement, hopefully improving the industry as a whole. The studies that they looked at showed they were reducing officer injury rates as well as suspect injury rates, and that's a crucial component for you to look at. Because we're not just looking at making it safer for the officer, we're looking at making it safer for the communities that we live in as well. Around the country, some of the things that you have seen is a reduction in that workers' compensation, which means that officers are not getting injured because they're not going hands-on. If an officer goes hands-on with the subject, they are introducing themselves, their weapon, and that suspect to injuries, to the potential escalation use of force. So you're seeing in companies like, or in cities like Houston, the reduction in officer injuries led to a reduction in costs to the city. In Michigan, they actually deployed this in the Municipal Risk Management Association, which is their insurance company. Detroit is not covered under this, but their management company, which handles their insurance, actually goes out and have funds agencies for purchasing tasers because they see a reduction in those injuries to suspects. That's where their insurance claims come into play. As he mentioned, there's 300 conclusive documents out there on tasers. Some of them are surveys, studies. About 100 of them are studies that are on our product that have been peer-reviewed. Department of Justice have done them. Pentagon, the United Kingdom has done studies on them. And those are ones that are not funded by Taser International. There are some that are, and that document can give you a little more in-depth look at just the volume of studies that have been done on our product. No other tool in law enforcement has been extensively tested as the Taser ECDs had. Keep that in mind when you look at other tools that are out there. And I'm going to skip through a couple of this just for the purpose of time. I believe you were provided the PowerPoint presentation. If you have any other information you want to dive into that, I'd be happy to answer it. I want to dive into really where you were talking about where we're at today versus where we're at when we were presenting here, I think, a year and a half ago. We were presenting on a product called the X26. That product has been out in the market for about 10 years. In the middle of last year, we launched a new product out in the market called the X2. Just like Honda goes out and constantly develops their cars and makes them safer, more improved, more economical, we're doing that same thing from an efficiency standpoint with our X2s. The X2 is our latest iteration out into the law enforcement market. It's a two-shot system. Now, encompassing into that system, there's about 5 critical things that are important for the departments to look at as how we improve that technology. Again, the X26 is about a 10-year-old platform. I think it's important for this community to also understand is that the Taser is also available in yellow, which is a very good visual sight for your community to recognize that a Taser is available and being used versus some agencies do not want to deploy the black version of it. The X2 is comparable in size to the X26. That is very critical when we talk about officers' real estate. The officers carry a lot of tools on their belt today, and the last thing we want to do is make it to where it's inconvenient for them to carry some of those other tools. We are not saying the Taser is a replacement for any of the tools that are in the system today. They are an accentuation to what's currently available. It's important to keep in mind. From an effective standpoint, the thing we were allowed to do in the X2, because we're a two-shot device, the X26 was a single-shot device, is we now have the ability to actually be more effective. The system can fire 2 different cartridges. It talks, it has a much more intelligent system on board that if I was an officer engaged in an active pursuit of the suspect, I fire the first cartridge, I get one dart in them. We're a two-darted system, a positive and negative. We need to complete the loop to make that energy have its effect. If I get one dart in the suspect, that is not going to be effective. The officer is not going to have the desired effect with that tool. By firing the second bay, any dart from that other second bay completes the loop, allowing us to have an increase in effectivity and efficiency in dynamic situations. So that was one of the first major changes that we made. The second major change that we made as a company is we believe that not deploying our device is actually the best way to go. If I have to go out there and shoot the device, that means that I've escalated in force. On the X26, in order for me to actually get compliance without having to deploy the device, I would have to unload the cartridge, spark the face of the weapon to get what we call an arc display. It's a loud rapping of the energy which gets the attention of the suspect. Then I would reload the cartridge if the suspect needed to engage. It's not very tactically sound, it's not safe for the officer, it's not safe for the suspect. So in the X2, what we did is we actually designed a smart cartridge which allows us to actually arc on the face of the cartridge while the weapon is still currently loaded. In Westminster, Colorado, in a year's time, they would have one compliance basically from what we call an arc display, an attention getter. In the first month that they deployed this system, they got 3 compliances without having to deploy. What I mean by that is firing the darts. Just by arcing to the face of the cartridge, they're able to get the attention of the suspect and not have to use the use of force. That's extremely important for us as we move forward in technology. But that arc display gives us voluntary surrender from the suspect without actually having to deploy it. The next thing that we did is really making sure our weapons increase in accuracy. As we develop the product and we increase the technology that's inside of that, we're able to move to a dual laser system. What that means is I can now tell exactly where the top dart and the bottom dart are going. Why is that important? From an effective standpoint, we really need to get in different muscle groups in the body. That's what we're affecting. We need to overcome the muscle of the body to take that structure out and prevent that suspect from continuing forward. A dual laser start system gives us the ability to see where the top dart and the bottom dart are going. So it makes it more efficient from the accuracy standpoint to the officer. The other thing that we did inside of it is now we have the ability, because technology has evolved. When the X26 came out, the StarTAC was the phone of choice. To give you an idea, we're at the iPhone. We're at a completely different place in technology. With the X2, we now have the ability to do what's called charge metering. The equation I would give you is that's just like your cruise control in your car. Without your cruise control, if you go up a hill and you have your foot on the gas, the car will slow down. As soon as you get to the other side of it, the car will speed up. Because it's not seeing that you're being consistent with where your foot's at on the gas pedal. The X2 now has on it cruise control. No matter what the system is that individual is being displayed on or deployed on, that individual does not have a shirt on or has a big, heavy, thick jacket on. The system now has the ability to monitor that, measure it, and deploy the effective charge to that individual. The X26 operationally is about 100 microcoulombs. So when you talk about the issue that's out in the environment today, it's about charge delivered. What we have done with the X2 is further refined our technology that the charge delivered on the X2 is 63 microcoulombs. So we've made it more efficient and also safer from the aspect. Not saying the X26 is not safe. The comparative analogy that I would give you, it's like saying the Honda 2003 is not a safe vehicle for you to drive. No, the Honda 2011 is a safer vehicle because they've improved some of the aspects inside of that vehicle.